Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Misty Michael from X-Rite Photo, and I'd like to welcome you to our latest guest presenter webinar, Everything a Photographer Needs to Know Before, During, and After the Shoot, with professional photographer Frank Doorhof. Before Frank gets underway, let me give you a very quick introduction. Frank is both an X-Rite Colorati and commercial fashion and celebrity photographer. Frank was brought up in a family of photography and video enthusiasts. He teaches workshops and seminars on model photography shoots, both in his studio in Emmeloord, Holland, or out on location all over the world. He's created instructional DVDs and books that are used worldwide, as well as taught for Kelby Training, which is well worth a visit at www.kelbytraining.com. Frank's latest book, Mastering the Model Shoot, takes you behind the scenes of a photo shoot, revealing every step behind his model photography workflow, which is available on Amazon. During the webinar, if you have any questions, please write them in the appropriate question panel. We will try and respond live, but as Frank gets busy into the shooting part, we'll try and answer as many as we can at the end of the webinar. Any unanswered questions will be collated after the webinar, and we'll respond to those as best we can. Now let's begin the webinar and hand over to Frank.
Hello. Now let's start showing my screen, because then everybody can see an image. Now, I always try to make myself a little bit difficult during these webinars, because where you normally see somebody doing some Photoshop and Lightroom, I thought, you know what, and we started this a few months ago, it would be really cool if I show you everything. So not only the images I already took and I have on my computer, but actually the way how we shoot the images. Now, it's a little bit terrifying because you see me now and you don't see only my desktop. But the problem is also something can go wrong. We're broadcasting via satellite, so there will be some delay sometimes, and maybe the internet connection goes out or one of the cameras dies. But in the end, just hope that everything goes okay, right? Now, the first thing we always have to do during a model photo shoot is set up the lights. We already set up 2 lights and 1 in the back. But first I want to show you how we set something up. Like now we have 3 lights set up, and I'm going to first turn off everything. So I'm going to turn off the backlight. There we go. And turn off this one. And we start just with a simple portrait. Now, I can of course stand here and be my own model and go like, wow. And then let somebody take the shot, but let's invite a real model. Now let's see if we have a real model here. I look, maybe you can model for me. What's your name? Luz. Okay, hello Luz, I'm Frank. Now one of the first things you do always is introduce yourself to the model, right? Because you have to make sure that the model feels at ease. Now Luz, did you have a model before? Yeah. That's cool. Normally they say no, but this time they say yes. Now the nice thing about lighting is very easy to understand. It's our language, right? As photographers, we speak in light. Now you can be a poet with light, meaning you can create, for example, high contrast lighting, you can create accent lights, or you can be just like on the street, oh, just throw some lights in there. What I like to do is be more poetic with my light, a little bit more storytelling. Now, the first thing you have to understand is 3-dimensionality in light. One of the things that's very important is shadows. As soon as you place a light right in front of your model, you get a very flat lighting. As soon as you start moving the light to the sides, you actually get more 3-dimensionality. So, Luz, are you ready for this? Yeah. Cool. The first thing I do is move my light really close to my model and from the side. I will use my light meter, point towards the light source, and meter. The fun part is I now see f8.2, meaning I'm 2/10 of f-stop from f8. I do 2 clicks down, and I will meter again, and now I will be on f8. The fun part about the light meter is it tells you exactly on what setting you have to set your camera. So if I now take out my camera and I shoot on f8, ISO 100, I will have a perfect shot. So I will take out the camera and take the first shot. So, let's put it on f8. There we go. Okay, Luz, can you look a little bit towards the light, please? Very nice. There we go. Now, the first image you will see coming in, and it's okay. It's not perfect. It's far from, but it's okay, because we already have the light on the side. Luz, can you look a little bit more down, please? Very nice. And eyes up towards the light. That's really nice. So now I have my first image that I really like. And at the moment that I look at my first image that I like, I actually see it because I see the cat's lights in her eyes. The image before had no cat's lights in the eyes. And I really want it because that gives you a little bit more sense of somebody's reeling in front of the camera instead of shooting a doll. But I need a little bit more accent, don't you agree? So I have a strip light set up with a grid to give a nice accent light. So we're going to turn that one on now and give a little bit more accent on the model. And you guys already see something happening here. I will keep that a little bit of a secret, but we have some things very special planned for in a few moments. Okay, let's start out with a ratio of 1:1, meaning f8 and f8 on the accent light. 4.01, so we can go a little bit closer to the model. Meter again. 5.63, so we're going to add 7 clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we're on f8. Now this is a ratio of 1:1, meaning both lights are equal in output, in this case f8. I have to be honest, that's normally a little bit boring, but I'll show you anyway. Okay, Luz, can you look towards the light again? Very nice. There we go. And now what you can see is I find the accent light a little bit too strong on her cheek. So we're going to change that. So let's turn the accent light down. We're going to go down to, let's say, 3.6. That's approximately 5.6, so one stop lower. Okay, Luz, are you ready? Look towards the light again. Okay, this I like a lot better. Okay. We already meted the ratio before we started this webinar. There we go. Very nice. And there we go. And yeah, that's the old-fashioned hair light, right? It's a little bit too strong, but you see that all the hairs are actually glowing up. Now we can turn it down. Let's say we turn it down a full stop, or maybe 2 stops, or let's go all the way down, just to show you an accent. So there we go, all the way down. There we go. And we're going to turn this one off. Okay, so now we have a nice portrait. Let's see what we can do with the portrait. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to use a slightly longer angle of view. Okay, there we go. Really nice. Beautiful, Luz. Very, very nice. Nice. And one of the things I always do is I always tell my model, you're doing fine, you're doing great, even if she doesn't. And you know why? Because that gives my model ease of mind. It will make the shoot light. And as soon as I count down 1, 2, 3, you're going to twist your hair very quickly and look straight into that light. Okay, there we go. 1, 2, 3, go. Nice. You see the nice fall off of light, and you actually see that her hair is moving. Okay, now can you do a little bit with your hands? That's nice. Okay, are you ready for the twist? 1, 2, 3, go. Nice. Another one. 1, 2, 3, go. Nice. But it's also a little bit standard, right? And I believe that standard, well, that's boring. So I added some little devices, and these devices are actually called smoke machines. And smoke machines are really, really cool, because what they can actually do is they can trigger smoke alarms, get you kicked out of a location, but they also create something that's very interesting, structure. And structure is something that we love to work with. You can do it in old walls, old locations, old wood, but in smoke there's actually a lot of structure. So we're going to test the smoke machines, but the first thing we have to do is make sure that they're aimed correctly. And now they're aimed a little bit much towards the model. So can you aim them a little bit more that way? No, the other way? Perfect. And the other one also, Annemiek? And can we have a little bit of smoke just to try out if it works?
Both of them?
Yeah, both of them. There we go. Okay. And let me see, the smoke now slowly goes up. Okay, Luz, if I count to 3, make the twist again. 1, 2, 3. Nice. 1, 2, 3. And one more time. 1, 2, 3. Nice. You see that the smoke actually changes the whole look of the shot. It makes it a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more interesting. The problem we now, however, have, it's still a little bit boring, don't you agree? I think we can do much better. Now, remember that strobe I put in the back? The one that lit up the hairs and that was really ugly? Let's turn it on again. Annelie, can you please turn it on? So we're going to turn on the other strobe. And of course, first I'm going to position my model in front of the strobe to give the same effect of that hair light. Okay, Luz, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Nice. Now we already have something that's more interesting. Now you remember that in some manuals there are always those little notes like don't do this or don't do that. I think it's a conspiracy theory because most of the times if you do it, it gives you an incredible great image. So the conspiracy theory, according to me, and you don't have to believe me because I'm Dutch, is that they put something in the manual like don't ever shoot into a light source because it's really cool. Now if you don't do it, the photographer doing it, making the great shots, will actually be the only one doing it. Now I won't say put your cat in the refrigerator or in the microwave because you can't do that, but think about something about light. Why shouldn't you shoot straight into a light source? Well, it can hurt your sensor. Well, I think if that was true, all my sensor would have been fried by now. Now, see the difference between having the light just behind my model, which is already pretty cool, but now we're going to make the light an integral part of our photo shoot. So can we have a little bit more smoke on both machines, please? Very nice. We're going to wait until the smoke goes up. And now we're going to use something with lens flares. And again, Luz, on 3, can you really make that twist again? 1, 2, 3. Nice. And again, 1, 2, 3. Cool. Now I see also the light behind my model. And I think this is even better. Okay, can you do something with your arms? 1, 2, 3. Nice. A little bit more hair. 1, 2, 3. Now there's one problem. That's a really big problem. And it has been a problem for many, many years. Strobes need to recycle, right? Now the problem is, I can count down. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3. And it takes a lot of time. On the other hand, you remember the Muppets, right? You know that he moves like crazy, right? Can you move like crazy? Probably, right? I'm going to put my camera on high speed mode. And let's see what these babies can do. Are you ready with the smoke? Yeah? Add some smoke. And Luz, keep moving and keep twisting that hair. And we wait for the smoke to come in. Okay. Almost. 1, 2, 3, keep moving. That's cool, right? What you can now actually do with the new strobes is you can have the same speed that you have with your speed lights on taka taka tak. The high speed of your camera can actually now also trigger the strobes. Now, for the people who didn't read my blog, we're actually using the new ELCs from Allengram. And those babies are so incredibly fast. You can do 12 frames a second, or in this case, this camera is limited to about 7 frames a second. But now it goes way faster, because now I can actually pick the shot that I really like. And I don't have my model going like 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we're going to do one more set of this. A little bit more smoke. Are you ready, Luz? 1, 2, go. And keep moving. The only limitation is the buffer. And that's really nice. Now, I forgot one little thing. And that's, of course, shooting the most important thing of a photo shoot, the color checker. Because if you want to do a photo shoot, you have to make sure that all your colors are correct. Now in Photoshop, that saves you a lot of time. Some people say, well, I like to be creative. I don't shoot a color checker. That's okay. If you don't want to shoot a color checker, no problem. But you have to figure out what the color will look like in the final image. When you shoot a color checker, you have a standard base, and that base is always correct. So Annelie, can you please give her the color checker? There we go. Just keep the color checker towards the light a little bit. There we go. Shoot the image. Only one is needed. Thank you very much. Make sure that it fills the frame nicely and that there's no shadows on the patches. I think we can do better, Luz. Yeah. We have now a very focused beam of light on the background, right? With the grid. Annelie, can you remove the grid? Always let somebody else do this because the grids get really, really hot. There we go. Oh, whew, that's a lot of light, right? Let's see what we can do with this, because this is actually where the fun starts. Are you ready, Luz? Can I have a little bit smoke? Okay. We wait for the smoke to get up. 1, 2, 3, go! And now what you see is we have a lot more light wrapping around my model, and we can even do some portrait modes. Because this was landscape what I was shooting, now let's do portrait. Luz, 1, 2, 3, move! Cool. And again, the buffer is the limitation. If you shoot on a really fast compact flash or secure digital card, you can go on for like 40 or 50 frames. The ELCs will keep up. Okay, so now we've done the photo shoot. So now what do we do? Well, we do Photoshop, of course, and Lightroom. So I'm going to show you the whole workflow. But first, one thing that's often forgotten. If you do a photo shoot like this and you're sitting on a distance, also make sure that you go really close to your model and make a few nice close-ups. So there we go. Okay, Luz, can you look into the light, please? And you don't have to move now. Just going to shoot a few. I'm going to turn the camera off the high speed, of course. There we go. Really nice. Now, if autofocus like this is a little bit tricky, make sure you focus on something that has high contrast. Now, in this case, well, it's her eye. There we go. Really nice. Cool. And of course, we can have a little bit of lens flare in there. That's always nice. Nice. And actually, we're now more poetic with light. It's not just like street language. This is really painting with light. And of course, when you put it online, some people will say, Frank, the highlights are blown. The image is crap. I don't care. As long as the image looks great, I don't care about a few blown out highlights. There you go. And can you do one more with the twist in your hair? The final one. Okay, are you ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Nice, thank you. So, we're gonna very quickly go into Photoshop and Lightroom. So I will be right back with you guys and sharing my screen. And of course, thank you, Luz. So, okay, guys. So, I'm gonna go away with the pre-shoot view. Now, as you can see, when I'm shooting tethered, I'm actually using Capture One. The reason for this is very simple. Capture One has a so-called hot folder option. In the background, and you didn't see this, I'm using remote camera control. You see this now on the screen. I'm shooting Sony, and Sony tethering is not supported in Capture One, and officially it's not supported in Lightroom, but the guys from DNA software, DSLR soft, plugin, which works for the A7R and the Alpha 99. The remote control camera software is something that every manufacturer, Nikon, Canon, Sony, delivers with their camera. I found out, thanks to a tip from a friend of ours, Joe McNally, that it works very, very stable. He uses it with Nikon. Normally, when you shoot into Lightroom, I don't know if you guys have this problem, but sometimes my connection just gets lost. You're shooting, and at one point, boom, the connection is gone. The only thing you have to do is start tethered shooting again, and it works. with the camera own software, this actually never happens. The only problem is, how do you set it up? Because there's actually no tethering support inside the software. So what I normally do is I will go here, save in, and I will give it the name of the folder. So I'll close this now, and I will actually name the folder the capture folder of Capture One. And I don't have to set everything up with hot folders, and like Lightroom, the folder has to be empty, otherwise the images won't come in. With Capture One, the cool thing is you just put the images in and it will show the newest image coming in. Now, Frank, do you use Capture One for everything? No. I will use Capture One for tethering. And of course, when I have medium format files from the leaf, I will actually do also my raw conversion in Capture One. So now I will just quit Capture One, and I will very quickly go to the folder I just shot in. And that's my tethered loose capture. I will take all the images I just shot and copy them. And I will go to photography work 2014, studio. I will find a folder for loose, create a new folder. New folder, loose, and create a new folder inside it with the date. Maart, that's Dutch, 13. And I will copy all the items there. And it goes pretty fast. From here on, actually my whole workflow changes. And my whole workflow now will be Lightroom. So we're going to start up Lightroom. There we go. This is an image from today. And we go into the photography from today, so that's studio. And I will actually say, you know what, synchronize folder. It will now actually find the folder from loose, and it will synchronize those images. So it will import the images. It takes a little while. There we go. And now my selecting process actually goes really, really fast. I strongly believe that a good image will shout out to you. It will say, hey man, I'm here. I love the way you look. Bam, take me. And you can see actually while I'm going through the images that like this one, well, I don't really like it, making me depressed. So we'll press X. X. This one is okay, but it's not perfect. So also X, X. I like this one. I don't like this one, no. This one is okay. I like this one. The first movement, love that one. No, no, yes. I like that one too. Now we're talking. This is nice. This is cool. This is even better. This is nice. This is where we shot really fast, and you can see that I can now actually pick out my images really nice. Love this one. Very cool. That's cool. Don't like that one. So this is my first very quick selection. And you see that I'm very brutal. I'm throwing away a lot of images, and I don't care, because in the end you only need the images that really rock, the images that make you go wow. I love this one. Sorry for my coughing sometimes, guys, but I have a little bit of a flu, but I didn't want to let you guys down, so I'm here anyway. I love this one. Nice. This is cool. No. Cool. Like this one. Really strange. Like a sci-fi mask of hair. No. Okay. No. And now the close-ups we made. Love this one. No. Nice, but the lens flares are a little bit weird on our mouth, so we take this one out. That one is cool. Love this one. And the final shot. Okay. Now the first thing I do is now I remove all the images I didn't like. So photo, delete all rejected photos. Delete from disk. There we go. Okay. Now I have some images left, right? And only now I'm renaming my images, and I will tell you why. if you rename your images before you delete the bad images, your client will actually see all the numbers. Now, let's say that your client is a little bit obnoxious, and she will go like, or he, you know what, Frank, I see 300 images and you only retouched 10. Why? Can you show all the others? And you go like, well, you know, really, no, actually, no, I can't, because I didn't like the images and I deleted them. They will go berserk. They'll go like, what? Why did you delete my images? I'm the customer, I have the right of the images, and blah, blah, blah. Now, if you rename the images after you selected the images, the client only sees, in this case, 46 images. So if you retouch 10, and they say, I want to see all the images, very simple. You show them 45 images, because actually the images I now kept are already the images I like. It's not the perfect image, but all the images I kept are images if a client really wants them. Well, I can give them, I can live with it. But all the images that are out of focus, the images that I don't like in expression, those images are all already gone. So it will take you a little bit of extra time to rename after the shoot. On the other hand, it saves you a lot of trouble with customers. Okay, now remember the color checker shot we took? That's this one. Now let's say you don't want to do anything with color checkers. No problem, then only do this, please, for me. Go to the develop module, go into your color checker, the color picker, sorry, and press here. Select all the images and sync. The nice thing you have now is that all the images are the right white balance. It's not the right profile, it's the right white balance. Now if you want to do it really good, and I have to tell you something, my Sonys sometimes have a real problem with the color checker. I never know if this is going to work. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. If it doesn't, I have another solution that will work. You will actually select the color checker. It's very, very simple. Press enter. And this is probably a little bit bad, but we'll try anyway. There we go. And you go to File, Export, and you say Export Color Checker Passport. What? Well, ELC loose. And you press Export. Now, normally, if you use Canon or Nikon, the color checker will be found and a profile will be created. Oh, I don't have to do it on all the images, of course. Edit, select none. Only this one. But that was quick. Export, go to Color Checker Passport, ELC with loose, and say export. Okay. Now, in 99% of the cases, this goes wrong. See, the application cannot auto-detect the crop marks. No problem. If you have a camera that is not supported, go to File, say Export, and say Color Checker. Now, I have a special one for this. It's called Color Checker. And what it actually does is it does this. It gives you an image format, DNG. Make sure that you put this on camera raw 4.1 or later. And do a specific folder on your hard drive, color checker. Press export. Now you have to close Lightroom. And you start the software that you get with your color checker. In this case, the color checker passport software. Now where is it? I have way too much junk on my computer. We're testing stuff, and every time the color checker comes out on top. You see, we also tested the QP card and the spider checker. They're pretty cool, but I still use the color checker passport by preference because I think the profiles are a little bit better. And I like the way that the profiles are created. It's very simple. Well, with my camera it isn't, but okay, there we go. Go to loose, drag it in here, and now it will try to select the crop marks. Sorry, guys. Okay, this can take a little while, and I can't fast forward now because we're live. And by the way, in between, if there are any questions, just let the moderator know and they can interfere with me. So create profile. Okay. ELC alpha 99 loose. Let's see if it works, because there's a little bit of shadow here, so I don't know for sure if it will work, but we'll see. Yes, it works. Wonderful. Okay, the only thing I have to do is restart Lightroom, and I already closed Lightroom, so that's easy. There we go. It restarts Lightroom. And now I have an extra option under camera profiles. And it's actually in your develop module all the way down. You see Adobe Standard, and now you also see ELC A99 loose. Boom. See the difference? We go to Adobe, and Adobe is a little bit the standard. So let's go to Adobe Standard. All the colors are a little bit washed out. And we go to the ELC. Boom, there we go. Great. Okay, edit, select all. And sync. Now don't, and please don't, sync with crop. Because otherwise all the images will be synced with the crops. Okay. Edit. Select none. And now we're going to select the images I'm going to retouch for you guys. Let me see. I love this image. So this is a pick. Oh, this one is even better. So I go back, U from unpick, and pick. I love this one. And again, I'm doing the selection really fast. The image really has to jump out immediately. If it doesn't jump out immediately, well, it's not good enough. This one I love. This one I really like. Color checker. This one I love. There we go. This is the weird one. Don't like it after all. And one of the close-ups. I think this one. Or this one. Let me see. This one. I think this one. Okay, I selected all my images. Now I go to filters and I go to flagged. The first thing I do is I give all my files the 5 stars. Meaning I've created something that I like. There we go. 5 stars. Now when I do my retouching, I actually now know that the 5 stars are the one that I selected. And the flags, of course. But the flags I will remove as soon as I've done my retouching. Now a lot of people go like, okay, retouching, Frank, that will take hours, right? And you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 photos. Wow, that will take 7 hours. So let's sit down, take out some popcorn, and let's watch Frank do some retouching. Yeah. As soon as you start to doing 7 hours of a retouch, well, that's just a shame of your time, so don't do that. It can be way quicker. So let's take some pictures that have a problem area. Like this face is a little bit too dark because there's hair in front of it, so I have to solve that. And this one I actually also like. So let's take this one. The nice thing about Lightroom and Photoshop is they're really connected to each other. So what I do is Command E, and they will, the E from Edward, by the way. Sometimes my E's come out a little bit wrong. And the first thing I have to do is remove this. This is the strobe. Now, I always call it the mother-in-law filter. Don't ask me why. You select it, and you press delete, and it's gone. It's like you wish, but that's just a joke. Deselect. Okay. Now the skin. If you've seen webinars from me before, you know that with skin retouching, I'm very basic. I will use a filter called image nomic portraiture. So go to image nomic portraiture. Now some people say, Frank, if you're a professional photographer, shouldn't you do dodge and burn? No, because with professional photography, it all counts down to earning your money, right? If I spend 4 hours dodging and burning on a single skin, or I spend 5 minutes on making it perfect, and then really perfect, because it can go way faster. I think most clients will say, Frank, please do the 5-minute one, because that saves me a lot of money. And see what it does before and after. And Luz already has great skin, so I don't need to do a lot. Actually, the standard setting is pretty cool. It just takes off the edge. I still love to see all the pores in a model's body. I don't want to see a mannequin. I don't want to see Barbie. I want to see Luz. So now I've created this. Now, one of the things that image nomic portraiture always says, Frank, oh sorry, customer, we're perfect. You don't need to do any masking. We do it for you. Yeah, that works. It's fine. The problem is they target skin tones, right? Skin color. The problem is those skin colors can also be in your hairs, or they can be in a wall which you're shooting against. So what I always do, I always create a separate layer with the filter, and it actually does it by standard. Now I go to layer, layer mask, and hide all. Now the whole filter is gone. You go to 100%. And because you use a black mask, you can use a brush with white paint, and you can paint over the black mask, and you can actually show what's beneath it. In other words, I'm now painting in the effect, but only on the areas where I want it. There we go. Wonderful. Now, I always flatten my images. Now, some people say, why do you flatten your images, Frank? Well, I only spend like 5 or 6 minutes on a photo. If I mess up, I will just start over again. If I keep everything in groups and layered and renamed, it takes me way more time than just doing it this way. My retouching is, again, very, very basic. Okay, I want to lighten up her face a little bit. Of course, you can do this with a separate layer. So let's first do the simple one. Layer, duplicate layer. Go into your curves. Oh, sorry. Go into your curves. Lighten up the face. There we go. Layer, layer mask, hide all. Take a brush and paint it in. The problem is it looks a little bit washed out, right? That's true, because I actually also need to add a little bit of contrast. Now, if you don't want to do all that stuff, there's a nice filter called Filter Nick Viveza. This is one I really like, because with Viveza I can add control points. I can actually make a control point, put it on her face, make it only her face, go into brightness. That's for the brightness, and then add a little bit of contrast on top, and then mix it back. There we go. And I have before and after, and it looks a lot better. There we go. Okay, I always overdo it a little bit because I start at 0 and then I add the effect to the effect that I like. There we go. Okay. Do we like the smoke? Yeah, I thought so. But I want the smoke to be a little bit more obvious. I want it a little bit more contrasty, a little bit more detail. And now in Lightroom, you actually have a filter called Clarity. Clarity in Lightroom is pretty cool. But it's very, very, how do you call it? It's like mowing your lawn with a nuclear bomb. It does it work, but it's like boom. If you want to mow your lawn with more precise instruments, you use a weed whacker, or you use whatever, a scissor. I don't know what you guys are up to, but you can use something that's a little bit more subtle. So what I'm actually going to do now is I'm going to use a filter that's very subtle, Topaz, Clarity. So we start up Clarity, and there we go. And when there's a setting called Fashion Awesome, you have to use it, right? And now we have the original and the one with Fashion Awesome. That's nice. Press OK. It takes a little while. It's a heavy filter. Cool. But I don't like it on our face. So we do the same trick again. Layer, layer mask, reveal all. And we just paint it out on the areas we don't like. Oh, by the way, if you have white paint and you press the X button, it changes it back to black paint, and the other way around. Now some people ask me, Frank, how do you remember that white takes away or black takes away? What do you do if something doesn't work? How do you remember all this? Well, to be totally honest, I also don't remember sometimes. So what I always say, if black doesn't work, white will. So just press the X and change, and voila, it always will work. Because there's only two choices. Okay, flatten the image. The only thing I now see is this, and always beware of this. Some people will just retouch their images really, really fast, and then they don't do what I call border patrol. Now, border patrol is very important. You go to 100% and you very quickly, especially when you use stuff like Clarity, you very quickly go over your image, because there's always a little bit of dust on your sensor. And you will actually see now, oh, there's still a piece of softbox. Now, some people will now call in the content aware. So they will select it. They go like this and press delete, right? Now, let's say you have a little bit more complicated setup. What I always do is if I want to remove more parts, I actually go to the quick mask. I take the brush. I'll actually paint over the areas that I don't want. In this case, only the softbox. There we go. You do this. Do an inverse because I forgot that once and the only thing left was my softbox. And I'll press delete. So it also works with the quick mask. There we go, and it's gone. Go down to see if you have any dust on the sensor. No. Because trust me, if you see a 4x4 meters print of your image and you see that there's dust on the sensor, you will kill yourself. Okay, now you see some, we call this moiré, color moiré, right? Now if you want to remove this in this dress, it's actually pretty bad. So let's say I want to remove that. You go to your brush and you go to the color mode. Change your opacity down, let's say to 50%. And you select an area which you like color-wise. And you just paint over the areas you don't like. And if you really know what you're doing, you can do it on 100%. But I always like to go over it once or twice. And maybe leave a little bit in. And this way you remove your color moiré. And you can also do this with hands. Let's say I don't like the way your hand looks here. It's a little bit too red, right? Okay, no problem. Go to, let's say, 63%. Select the skin color you like and just paint over, oh, sorry. Paint over the red areas. Oops. Good example. There we go. Yeah, let's go for a little bit lower setting. The problem is if you actually paint into the shadow areas, it will pick up the tones a little bit easier. There we go. Now this one is a little bit too light for me. So what I now actually go is I will go into this part, sponge tool, and do a desaturate. There we go. Now it looks a little bit better. Okay. Now nowadays with Photoshop and Lightroom, a lot of people start calling themselves professional photographers, right? And the internet is overflown with images. There are so many images out there, you will go nuts. I want my images to stand out. Now, how do I make my images to stand out? Very simple. I want my images to stand out by using color tinting. In the old days, before we did the photo shoot, we actually choose the film roll. The film roll decided which look the image would get, right? In this case, I already have my film roll. It's my sensor. Luckily, with digital, we actually can change the film roll after the photo shoot. So let's go to filters. And this one I really like, DxO Film Pack. I actually have presets now available, which you can buy on my website. And therefore, Film Pack, Alien Skin Exposure, and Analog FX Pro. So you can use your own, you can use my filters as a starting point. Here we go. See the difference? Before and after. This one has way more impact. Or if you only want a contrast boost. Or maybe a bright vintage. I don't like that one. Or maybe you're in a blue mood. I don't know. Maybe you like blue. But I like the dark. There we go. Nice. And of course you can change everything around if you want. There we go. Save. I love this one. Okay. File close. We are done. Let's do another one. I'm going to show you another trick in retouching. Okay. The first thing I now do is I unselect this one with U. There we go. Okay, now let's say I really want to work on this one. I love the way the expression is. Let's see if I have a better one. This one is better. But I don't like the light this way. It's like I want it to be a little bit more spread out. So how do you do that? Well, very simple. The first thing you do is you open up the image. Now I don't want to go into the portrait retouching again. So what I do is I edit an action called portrait smooth. What it does, is it makes a duplicate layer, it runs portraiture on the last known setting, it selects a layer as background, and it makes a mask. Wow, that sounds interesting. Well, what it actually does is if you press play, it runs the filter on a separate layer and it creates the black mask. And the only thing I have to do is take a brush with white paint and just paint over the area where I want my filter to be active. And of course, change the opacity back to 100. There we go. And that's it. Flatten the image. Now, I don't like this one. I want it to be more spread out. Okay, so how do we do this? Well, you know, there are many, many ways to do this with filters, and but they're a little bit tedious to do. So let's do this one. Layer new. And there's nothing on this layer. Now, what I can do is I can take a big brush and make it white. And actually do this. There we go. And now I blur this. Filter, blur, Gaussian. A little bit more. There we go. And now even more of that ambient effect. We actually used this once for headlights on a DeLorean because they were actually off, and we turn them on this way. Do this, by the way, before you use any tinting or other filters, otherwise it will look fake. Okay, make a new layer, go to Filter Topaz, and do the clarity again, because we want some real bite in the image. Make sure that if you do stuff like this, that you repeat yourself over and over again with the same look, because there's nothing so annoying as having one image look this way, the other image look that way, and you go like, yeah, but I found this better. If you find something better, retouch all the images again. So if you deliver them to your client, they all look the same, because otherwise your client will go like, well, you know, my model changes every time. I don't want that, and it will lose your client. Okay, layer mask, reveal all. And the only thing I have to do is remove the effect from clarity over skin. Okay, there we go. Flatten the image. And because we use DxO on the first part, we're going to use DxO again. I'm going to use the same setting because we want uniformity in our photos. Dark warm. There we go. And save. So retouching can be really easy. Sometimes you change something, but keep the same look. Sorry, guys. Okay, close. Okay, let's make one that's a little bit more adventurous in black and white. And that will be the final one. So bear with me. Let me see which one we'll choose for that. I think this is a real candidate for black and white. Now, there's a little bit too much blown out here. Let's see what we can recover. This is the one thing I love about the Sonys. They have highlight recovery that's really cool. Because we can actually get exactly back what I want. There we go. Okay. Command E to open up Photoshop. And first remove this part. Remember what I told you about the quick mask? You see that I now have to select this one and then that. Can be way easier. To deselect, take the brush, go to quick mask, very quickly paint here, paint somewhere else, wherever you want stuff to be removed. Like here we see a cable. Didn't see that before. So we go to the brush, make the brush small, paint over the cable. There we go. Do we have something more? Nope, that's okay. Go here, do an inverse, and just press delete. This works awesome, by the way, if you have to retouch hairs, because hairs are tedious to move. And with this trick, you can actually do it really fast by using quick masks. Okay, there we go. And it looks pretty nice. Sometimes it messes up, sometimes it does it right, but it's always faster than doing it all by hand. Do the portrait smooth again, the action. There we go. And of course, paint it in where you want it. You know, this one I won't explain anymore because I already explained it. Okay, layer flatten image. Very quickly do the topaz because we want the same look. Even if we do black and white, we still want that same clarity on the background for the smoke. As you can see, it goes really fast. It already remembers what I used last time. Fashion awesome. Press OK. Okay. There we are. And now I want to go into black and white. Oh, sorry. One more thing. Layer mask, reveal all, and remove it from the skin. There we go. Okay, black and white. Now for black and white, I also use DxO Film Pack. And I actually created some filters in there that I really like with the blue filtering. Because we only see 3 colors, red, green, and blue. Meaning also that in Photoshop, all your images are actually created by channels. And if you go into the channel menu, you see red, green, and blue. If you do black and white conversion, you can also use red, green, and blue. And in this case, I used the blue filtered black and white. And as you can see, it really jumps out. We added a little bit of noise and get a really strong image. You can also use high contrast. This is without the blue filter, which I don't like, or medium strong. But I really like the blue. So here we go. And of course, you can tweak it a little bit if you don't like it. Like if you don't like the noise, no problem at all. You just take the noise out. Or you do it even more, the other way around. But I like it a little bit in there. There we go. Oh, by the way, if you really mess up an image, make it black and white, add a lot of noise, and people will love it. It's instant art. There we go. Okay, file, and file, close.